So this, okay. Uh, okay, so Russia. This is, I'm going to present on the country where I was born, which is Russia. Now, I didn't live there for a long time. I moved out. My family immigrated to Spain when I was 6, but it's still my country of birth, and I still my family is still Russian, so I speak the language and I learned some of the traditions. Um, this is the flag. Now, normally it doesn't have this bird that's called a gerb in Russian. It's basically like a eagle. It's not an eagle. It's just like I don't know. I don't know what kind of bird it is. It's a bird with two heads. It's a very common symbol in uh, Russian government buildings and money and just uh, it's a symbol. But normally the flag doesn't have it. It's normally just white, blue, and red on the bottom. Some of them just included for make it more pretty. Okay, so the country itself uh, has a population of 144 million people, which is about half of the United States. Um, and the currency is the Russian ruble. Um, I should have included a picture of that. Um, it has a 74 to 1 exchange rate, and I think it's actually at about 80 right now, which means with $1 you can get 80 rubles, and well, the equivalent is 80 rubles, and the bills go from the smallest one might be 50, and the biggest one, I mean, the biggest one that I've ever seen is 10,000. Like, it was very crazy seeing, especially when I was growing up in Spain, going back and seeing those uh, bills of 10,000 was very, I don't know, very cool to me, because I thought in my child's mind, I thought it was the equivalent of like $10,000. Um, it is the largest country in the world by territory, by land. 6 million, 6.6 million square miles. Um, as we'll get into in the next slides, it's most of it is not populated. Um, that's why the population is compared to the land is so quote unquote low, even though it's still very high. The capital is Moscow, which you can see here in the picture. This is Moscow downtown, which is the economic, political, social center of the country. It's where everybody is, the big place. Where everybody wants to go to work, for school, whatever. Like, it's the center. Itself, it has a population of almost 13 million people, which, and that's, I believe, not including the no, that is including the suburbs and surrounding areas. So that's comparable to New York City and London and cities like that. It's one of the most populous cities in the world. The government, I know it's. I should have put this in quotes, on air quotes, because we know it is technically a federal, semi-presidential, constitutional republic, but and the president is Vladimir Putin, as many of us know, even though it doesn't always, follow the constitution. I said Moscow was the city, this economic, government, social center, but there's another city called St. Petersburg, which many of you probably have heard of. And this is considered the cultural capital of Russia. It has most of the art museums and architecture. It's considered you know the most beautiful, so to say, city, more architectural, the artistic city in the country, and it includes buildings like the one you can see, which is the Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood, which I don't know why it's called that, but it includes other places like the State Hermitage Museum, which is after the Louvre, the second largest art museum in the world, and the Palace Square. Um, all uh, I'm sorry, I thought I included a second picture here, but not I didn't. Um, this is the church of the. You can see this church many when you look at pictures of St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg. Um, and postcards and stuff. It's called the Church of the Savior and Spilled Blood. Okay, so I mentioned that Russia had a long, big territory, a lot of land, but a lot of it was not populated. And one of the reasons for that is for such a low population density is that 77% of its territory uh, is what's called Siberia, which you probably heard of before. It's a vast amount of land, like huge, includes a lot of territories that include mountains, forests, and lakes. But it's not all mountains and forests and inhabited territories. In fact, one of the largest cities, which is Novosibirsk, and is the third most populated city in the country with 1.6 million people, is located in the middle of it. And there's other smaller cities, including the one where I'm from, and I'll get to that later on, that are located in the middle of Siberia. So it's not fully inhabited. It's completely habitable, even though the temperatures are harsh and winters are rough, and and there's freezing temperatures until April. Now I think for the winter, the month of January in most of these places has a all right, let me admit. Oops. It has a average temperature of negative degrees Celsius, which is very cold. And a lot of people live in these places anyway. As I said, this city, which is where my family's from, and the city we'll get to next, which is where I'm from, are located in the middle of Siberia, and people live there, and it's not just like a tundra of snow and mountains. A lot of it is, most of it is, but people still live there. And by the way, Siberia and these lands is where during the communist times people used to send uh, people to jails or prisons that were called gulags, which were more like work camps. Um, and they were located in the middle of these places. And unfortunately, a lot of people um, died there from hunger, cold, conditions. Okay, so I mentioned that, well, this city that I talk about here, Novosibirsk, is located about around here in the map of Russia. And this is all Russia. Moscow's around here. And United States will be around here. Now, there's a lake in the middle of Siberia, right here, which is called Lake Baikal. And it's shaped like this, like a banana. And there's a city called Irkutsk, which I'll get to later. And that's the city where I was born and where I grew up. Now, about the lake, you can see these pictures right here. It's very beautiful. The lake itself, this is the city of Irkutsk, is located in the south of Siberia, and it is the largest freshwater lake in the world. Um, it contains 22 to 23% of the world's fresh surface water, and it contains more water than all of the North American Great Lakes combined. Now, I tried to get a scale to compare it to Lake Michigan so we could have an idea here how much bigger it is, but just the idea that just the fact that it contains more water than all of the Great Lakes of North America combined. That's not only Lake Michigan, but all of the other ones, and Canada too. Um, kind of gives you an idea of how huge it is. Um, this lake, uh, it freezes in the winter completely. And when I was a kid, we had there was this tradition, or not even tradition. It was just a thing that people would do in the winter, is that cars would be allowed to get on the ice, because the ice would be so thick that it would hold that like hundreds of cars with no problem. And people would get in there with cars and hook their sleds on the back of the cars. And people would get on the sleds. I would get on the sleds. My dad would go in the car, and I would be on the sled attached to the car. And he would just like, drive around and skid on the ice. Obviously, with people who try to stay separated from other cars. Um, but you could drive all over the lake just like that. Um, Now, that's safe to do when it's, in the middle of the winter and it's super cold. But several people uh, decided to still do that when the ice gets, not as thick, uh, closer to, March and April, when it starts to melt. Unfortunately, several people drowned, my dad said, and they closed it. They made a law to not allow people to go on the ice at any time of the year anymore, which, you know, I understand. Obviously, it's unfortunate that people um, drown there, but it's also not, obviously not smart to do that in times where the ice is not thick enough to do that. But just letting you know that there was how, so you get an idea, an impression of how thick uh, and strong the ice is, that people would go on trucks with cars, and you'd see hundreds of dozens of cars and people attached to the sleds. And it was really a fun experience, kind of scary, but uh, obviously people wouldn't go too fast in the cars, but it's still an adrenaline rush experience. All right, about customs and typical foods, you can see Mr. Putin here, uh, you know, doing something very typical in Russia, which is drinking tea. Now, tea drinking is a tradition that's usually attached to England or Great Britain more so than any other country. But I have to say, Russians can give them a run for their money when it comes to tea. It's just a really big tradition. People don't drink coffee. People just in their houses they collect tea from all over the world. They have tea breaks several times a day. Their whole family just sits and drinks tea together and have some pastries, and uh, I would say 3 or 4 times a day at least. When I'm visiting my family, it's like completely, it catches me off guard, because we have a tea break, and then 2 hours later another tea break. Now we just did a tea break. Uh, and you drink coffee, people are like, "Well, you're drinking coffee." It's like you joined the bad guys. Now, speaking of foods, there's more. There's a lot of foods that I could get into, but I decided to personally include my favorites. And I think Russia shares a lot of common foods with countries like Poland and Belarus, which Igor and Jakub will get into. So I think they'll cover other foods that might be also common in Russia and that I haven't included. But personally, I want to include my favorite ones, which top one favorite is the blini with caviar, which is unbelievably good, and um, it's you don't find it in. I haven't found it easily in any other part of the world, because caviar in other parts of the world is considered, it's more expensive. It's considered, quote unquote, like fancy, more like a delicatessen. But in Russia, it's very cheap. It's very accessible. You can get it. You can get jars for. It's like jelly. It's really mind blowing how easy and cheap it is to get. So people put it in everything. They put it in. As I said, they make blini, which are a kind of crepe, a little more thick. Um, and you can find these crepes with blini with anything, meat, sour cream, jelly, potato, whatever. But my personal favorite and one that's very common, you go any cafe, any um, restaurant, they have this, and it's very good. Sometimes you can put butter in between. I don't know if you've tried this kind of caviar before. This is salmon. I believe this is salmon caviar, but you should go to Russia. You should totally give this a try. Another one is the borscht soup, which is made with beets, potatoes, beef, sour cream, onions, all that. But the main ingredient is beet, which gives it its red color. Now, I believe this is also very common in Poland and Belarus. So I think Igor and Jakub might confirm that later. Now, sports and competitions. Now, Russia is very known for being very, having very good players, chess players over its history. It's obviously famous for its ballet performance. You can see in the picture the Ballet Bolshoi Theater in Moscow, which I have been to. And then also hockey, ice hockey. You can, many of especially Americans, you guys know that if you follow NHL, a lot of Russian players play for big NHL teams. And the national team is also very prosperous, and they have alongside soccer, obviously, which is the biggest thing in Europe. I think this would be the second sport in Russia that people go to games, and they have they have a big fan base, and also gymnastics. Okay, now I will first I want to show you a common Russian dance, which you probably have seen or try to imitate or made fun of, or it's kind of like a cliche, which is the Kalinka dance. Sure. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but
okay, Nick, we can't see it, but we can hear it.
You can't see it?
No, you have to stop the screen share of the PowerPoint and then show us the YouTube link.
Oh, okay. Stop share.
But I think I know what dance it is based on your introduction. Perfect, that we can see it now.
I'm gonna skip to more. Okay, I don't want to take the whole 4 minutes of the video for this because I know time's limited, so I'll just show you the other video very quick. So basically, this is a folk dance, folklore that is very common during Russian holidays or Easter, even. I mean, any holiday really. Now, Right. The second video that I want to show you is very short, but it's a video that really shows the some it depicts the randomness of some events that you can find in Russia. And in Russia, like a lot of you probably have seen or heard that a lot of funny and unexpected things happen, and that bears are very common in them. So I'm going to show you one video that uh, shows that to its maximum potential of what's normal in Russia but shouldn't be normal anywhere else. Oops. Okay, I gotta get back to the PowerPoint. All right, and that's my presentation on Russia. Um, these are the Matryoshka dolls that you've probably seen before. It's a big thing in Russia. Uh, this is a sentence in Russia that says "большое спасибо," which means thank you so much. And yep, thank you guys for listening.
Woohoo! All right, round of applause for Nick. Thank you so much. Yeah, that bear video at the end, that was surprising.
Really funny, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was funny. So now we have time for questions. I just put one in the chat, but does anyone have any questions for Nick about Russia?
Oh, the teas. Well, actually, the Russians are like Indian and teas from mostly black from India and also Arab countries.
Mm,
You know,
interesting.
yeah.
So the teas are not made in Russia. It's usually
Some are, but they're not, you know, the best.
okay. Interesting. Do you have a favorite tea, Nick?
Are there any favorite Russian? Well, actually, the dessert that crepe with the caviar is a dessert, and it is one of the favorite, most common ones. Do I have a favorite tea? No. I mean, I like black tea in general. I'm not a huge tea. I mean, I do like tea a lot, but not to the extent of like drinking it 5 times a day. Okay. Where can we get Russian food in this area? There's this. I don't know the address, but I did go to this supermarket once. I will try to find the name of it because I want to go again, and I'll share it with you guys. It's just this Eastern European supermarket that has not only Russian but also
I know
probably.
what you're talking about, probably. There is one in I believe it's Buffalo Grove.
It's like close. Yeah, it's like close to Grace Lake and that area.
There is one section like there is one aisle in Garden Fresh somewhere in Buffalo Grove, and there is also the deli called Aleph, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know. I think you can Google it. It's in
Yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
list.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I think it's something. Yeah, yeah. It had like all these foods from not only Russia but also probably Belarus, Poland, and Eastern European countries. Um, how long did I live in Russia? Six years until I was 6 years old. And what's something you miss about Russia now that you're here, or even when you were in Spain? Um, uh, I mean, I don't really miss it honestly. But if there was one thing that I would say that I liked when I was there, I wouldn't say it's missing in America or in Spain. It's the friend like contrary to public opinion, the friendliness of the people are really like nice, and uh, there's always like a friendliness in Russia that you don't, um, that you don't need to know someone to be nice and like a friend to them. When you find someone in a supermarket, or um, like truly genuinely helpful and nice. That's something that I really want to clarify, since I know in America, and in Western culture and Europe also, it's considered like Russians are grumpy and like whatever. uh, and I can see why, because like government wise, it's you know it's like that. But people socially, people are very nice, very loving, caring, helpful to each other. Okay, any more questions?
If not, thank you, Nick.
Okay.
And we are going to turn it over to, oh, look, Igor said, yes, that's the store. Okay, so we have our store, Aleph in Muntaline. And since we just had Igor share, Igor, do you want to go second?
I can.
Okay, we can hear about Belarus, which it sounds like we can find Belarusian food as well. Can I say that, Belarusian?
Oh, I don't know. Some people call it Belarusian, some people call it
Belarusian, okay.
Belarusian. Yeah, I actually don't know because it's so confusing at some point.
That's okay.
Yeah. So yes, let's go to my presentation. So hello everyone, my name is Igor. I'm from Belarus. This is a small country in Eastern Europe. We're
Igor,
located.
sorry to interrupt you. I just want to let you know we don't see your screen yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
you don't see my screen? Oh, I thought I
That's
shared.
okay. Nope, you're gonna have to do screen share and I'll let you know once we're up and running. So you hit the green button. There we
Yes,
go.
it should work. Oh, it should work now. Yeah.
Yes, and then as long as you hit play for the PowerPoint from the beginning.
So,
Perfect. We're all set.
and I'm from Belarus. This is a small country located in Eastern Europe. I decided to collect some basic data here about it. As I said, we're located between Poland and Russia. We have a population approximately 2.5 millions. We speak two languages there, or two official languages, actually. One is Belarusian, another is Russian. Russian, we speak mostly Russian because we used to be a part of Soviet Union so long time ago, and it kind of became a habit. But I speak fluently two of them. Anyways, our area is 80,200 square miles. Yeah, and our governmental system is presidential republic, and the capital is Minsk. This is now located almost in the center of the country. This is the most populated city in the country. It has 2 million already, and basically the fifth part of the country lives in the capital. And another part also lives in the like region cities, and mostly they don't exceed 1 million. So yeah. So about symbolics, we have actually very interesting history about symbolics because our current government believes that the red and green one is actually the current symbolic, and this is actually our official symbolic right now. And so it was developed in the Soviet Union. The only difference between Soviet Union is that there is the hammer and a sickle somewhere here, I believe. This is the only difference, what they did right now. And since our current president is very, well, Soviet minded at some point, um, he, he believes that this is our symbolics. On the other hand, we have our unofficial symbolic, and this is symbolic that actually people more likely to accept in the country, and this is white, red, white. This white um, symbolizes something pure. Red symbolizes um, blood that was spit for the country, and there was a lot of people who died for this country. So, and the green color on the another flag means nature. And this flag also has the name Pagonia, which translates as a chase. So this man is a chaser. It used to be actually a flag from 91 till 95, but first was founded in 1918, and this is why it considered as a historical flag of the country. We have this flag for some reason, and most people don't agree. And we currently have this sort of the not the segregation, but the sort of a fight between beliefs, where people. So if let's say you support the current president, it means that you probably support this flag. And if you support freedom, if you have more democratic views, um, you probably prefer this flag. So this is kind of, I think at some point it's similar to America. So there are also Republicans and Democrats, and they always fight between each other. And there's also supporters of each of those parties. Okay, so I decided to show here some most popular sightseeings in Belarus. We have lots of castles all over the country, but these are the most popular ones. There is Mer Castle, which is located, I believe, about 100 miles from Minsk. This castle was first built in 13th century, and it has a rich history, and it's now renovated. And there's a museum inside, and there are lots of things to do there. And I was there a couple of times. There's also a Nesvich Castle, which is actually was built when Belarus was a part of Poland. So um, technically, it's Polish, but but since it's located on our land, it's considered as Belarusian. There's also hotel in this area. There's also museum, and yes, and the most popular sightseeing is the Minsk city, which is the capital, uh, as I already mentioned. We have Upper Town, and I, I think that probably most of our sightseeings are located on some land, which is, and this is why it's called Upper Town, because it's kind of located on the hill. This is the highest point of the whole city. And by the way, Belarus is not hilly at all. The highest point is approximately okay. I don't know how many feet it is, but I know that it's approximately 400 meters, which is not high. And a bit more specific, about Minsk. So Minsk is actually was Belarus in general was the most affected country in the Soviet Union, the first country that was affected in the Second World War in the Soviet Union. And so when the Germans entered the Soviet Union, they first entered to Belarus. And this is why we have such a location, because all the wars have been since many centuries ago, still go through us, and we're the most affected. This is why Second World War is a part of our history and of our sightseeings. For example, this is the Victory Square. The Victory Square. This is a monument that was built almost right after the Second World War ended, and there is a fire of freedom that never ends, and it memorizes the lives of those who died in this war. There's also a museum which was renovated in 2013, I believe. We also have opera, and we have also a library. And this is almost very center of the city. On the other side of these buildings, there are, there are there is the train station. But yeah, technically it's a downtown. So we don't have lakes like Michigan. And the biggest lake is Darich, and this is very popular, not only among Belarusians, but also among Russians, because we have lots of hotels in that area and people come just to rest, and this is very cheap there. And this is very popular in the summer, especially because a lot of people do fishing, somebody does slides, and there are so many activities in that area, and many tourists come to see those places. And by the way, Belarus is considered as the country of wetlands. We have lots of wetlands, a lot of swamps. Um, so we have 20,800 rivers all over the country. We have 100 and 300. We have 15,000 and 300 small lakes, and also we have 1,500 ponds in the country. So this is why we also are considered as lungs of Europe, because technically this is what wetlands do. They kind of refresh the air, and they produce lots of uh, CO2, in which not produce oxygen. Sorry. We have also Ivan Kupala night, which is not actually only Belarusian. Belarusian holiday. It's also celebrated in Russia and Poland. But Belarusians love it, do so much, and it's very celebrated. The point of this holiday is that on this night, women all over the country, they pick flowers, and I'm sorry, how do you call this word? How do you call it, what she has on her head?
Kind of like a wreath. It's a wreath, but she's wearing it like a headband. Kind
Yes,
of like, I have a flower today.
yeah, she's wearing a headband. It's a sort of
Mhm.
from flowers. And this night they put it in the water, in the rivers, and it's considered that if your if your couple, if your future husband finds it, then it means that he's going to be the love of your life. So and also lots of people look for those flowers around the around in the forest, and there is a rare flower which is called Ivan Kupala flower, and it's very hard to find. And if you found this flower, you're super lucky. Yeah. About traditional costumes. So this is in general how they look. I think it's pretty similar to Polish and Russian costumes. So yes, they're very similar. We don't have big differences in them. But these are not considered as the daily wear. This is all considered as a special occasion dress. So nobody's going to wear this every single day.
Okay, Igor, I just wanted to stop you for 1 second. We've got 2 minutes left before we're gonna have to turn it over because we need to make time for Jakub to still present.
Okay. So I will go fast.
Yeah, you can go fast or you can share your favorite highlights you want to share with us.
Okay, so there are lots of foods. They're all similar as anywhere in the Eastern Europe. We have draniki, which is the potato pancakes. These are my favorites. There's also babka, which is also potato based. In general, all foods in Belarus are potato based because we have lots of potatoes there. We have a good soil for growing them. 1 second. A bit of Belarusian. So hello will be witanie. Goodbye will be do popatrzenia. Thank you will be dakuj. And these are basic words, and you can also try to pronounce some of these. Yes. And do I show the video because there is not much time left? It's going to be like a minute or two. Do I show it?
I think we're gonna have to skip it, but you know what you can do, Igor? You could copy that link and put it in the chat. We could watch it after.
Okay, great. If somebody's interested, I'll.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
So thank you, Igor.
Yeah.
Belarus. I learned so much. That was really great. So now it's time for questions. So we're going to take a couple minutes for questions. I put 2 in the chat, Igor, for you, but there might be some other guests who want to ask some questions of you.
Mhm. So, okay, like Norwich, have you traveled here with your family frequently? Can we see the picture of Uncle Paulo Flower? Okay, I've been there. I've been to Norwich about 5 times with my family, and also Uncle Paulo Flower. I think I need to find it because I need to Google it first.
Yes, you can Google it if you find the image and you could screen share it so we can see it.
I can
I'm
screen share.
curious to see what it looks like.
Yes. So Igor is making gardening for all of you pick tonight. Is that right? I didn't. No.
Sorry, Jacob.
I don't know how to cook them.
You can just send it to us, you know.
But they're delicious though.
Thanks for rubbing it in.
Okay, I can screen share and show the flower quickly if somebody's interested. I found it. 1 second, sorry.
Hey, great. Thank you. Yeah, I just want to see it. This special flower. Oh, pretty.
Yes.
It's really bold. It's like in a fern. Wow.
Yeah, so this is very rare flower, and every girl that celebrates this holiday, she wants to find it because she means it's lucky and she will find her love.
Okay, I'll work on it. I gotta go find the flower. Thanks. All right, so let's give it a round of applause again for Igor, and then we're gonna let Jakub share for us next. So Jakub, could you please start your PowerPoint? There we go. We got Poland. Perfect. All right, Jakub, go ahead. Take it away.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, so my presentation is about my home country, Poland. And let me just say, dzień dobry. and cześć, which mean hello and hi. So Poland is a country located in Central Europe, as you can see. It is divided into 16 administrative provinces and has a largely temperate seasonal climate with a population of nearly 38.5 million people. Poland is the 5th most populous member state of the European Union. Poland's capital and largest metropolis is Warsaw. The country is bordered by Lithuania and Kaliningrad Oblast of Russia to the northeast, Belarus and Ukraine to the east, Slovakia and Czech Republic to the south, and Germany to the west. We have a really rich history as the country was originally founded in the year 966. So yeah, that's a pretty long time until now. But I won't go into that much of a details because we don't have that much time. So yeah, but we were the first country in the Europe to which has adopted first modern constitution. As you all probably know, we were hit pretty badly by the World War II. Yeah. Poland's topographically diverse territory extends from the beaches along the Baltic Sea in the north to the Sudets and Carpathian Mountains in the south. And what you can see here is How Peninsula, which is, yeah, like pretty much. I mean, it always made me wonder when I was a kid. How such thing can exist. I mean, on the map, it looks really thin, like a really thin part of a land. And yeah, when I first went with my family, right here, when we visited that place, I was amazed that there's a city there, like here. Next, we have the Błędów Desert, and it's the largest accumulation of loose sand in an area away from any sea in Central Europe. And it was deposited thousands of years ago by a melting glacier. So it's pretty funny to have a desert in that section of the world. So we also have Morskie Oko, which translates to Eye of the Sea in English. And it's the largest and fourth deepest lake in the Tatra Mountains in southern Poland. Yeah, and it's pretty much like the most popular touristic place to visit. Many Poles go there every year, and it's always way too crowded for me to even go there. There's also Masuria and the Masurian Lake District, which are known as Kraina Tysiąca Jezior, which means land of 1,000 lakes. The terrain is rather hilly with connecting lakes rivers and streams. And it's probably the most beautiful section of Poland, region of Poland. And once again, it's really, really popular among tourists and people like that. During winter, many Poles go to the southern regions of Poland to experience the true winter atmosphere. On site, it is worth going for a sleigh ride or skiing. We also have the population of European bison. It is one of two extant species of bison alongside the American bison. The European bison is the heaviest wild animal in Europe, and individuals in the past may have been even larger than modern animals. And there's also a landscape of Poland. We also have many castles and other historic architecture. These two pictures on the left, that's the largest castle in the world by land area, and it is situated in Malbork in north central Poland. Yeah, and that's those two pictures. Those are pictures of a castle located in Krakow. Poland is a representative democracy with a president as the head of state. The government structure centers on the Council of Ministers led by a prime minister. The president appoints the cabinet according to the proposals of the prime minister, typically from the majority coalition in the Sejm. Poland has a multi-party political system, and elections are held every 5 years for president and every 4 years for the parliament. Poland is a developed market and a regional power in Central Europe. It has the 6th largest economy in the European Union by nominal GDP, and the 5th largest by GDP purchasing power parity. It provides very high standards of living, safety, and economic freedom, as well as free university education and a universal health care system in accordance with the European Union standards. Yes, so Poland has a population density of 122 inhabitants per square kilometer. And on the picture, we can see Gdańsk, which is the capital and largest city of the Pomeranian Voivodeship, and the most prominent city in the vicinity of the cultural and geographical region of Kashubia. It is Poland's principal seaport and the center of the country's 4th largest metropolitan area. Yeah, so many of our holidays and traditions are like the most popular ones are pretty similar to those here in the US. So during Christmas Eve, though it is not a public holiday, it remains the most memorable day in the entire year. Trees are decorated on the 24th of December. Hay is placed under the tablecloth to resemble Jesus's manger. Christmas wafers are shared between gathered guests, and 12-dish meatless supper is served that same evening when the first star appears. An empty plate and seat are symbolically left at the table for an unexpected guest. Over the course of history, the Polish people have made considerable contributions in the field of science, technology, and mathematics. Of course, there is no time to tell about them, so I will only mention a few of them. Here we have Nicolaus Copernicus, who triggered the Copernican revolution by placing the sun rather than the earth at the center of the universe. And we also have Maria Skłodowska-Curie, who was a Polish physicist and chemist who conducted pioneering research on radioactivity. And she also, she was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, the first and the only woman to win the Nobel Prize twice, and the only person to win the Nobel Prize in two scientific fields. So in music, we have Frédéric Chopin, who was a Polish composer and virtuoso pianist of the Romantic era, who wrote primarily for solo piano. In literature,
Jakub, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're hitting like 3 o'clock here. So I just want to tell you got like 2 minutes left and then we're going to take questions, okay?
Okay, yeah. So in literature, we have 5 Polish authors who were awarded the Nobel Prize. In 2019, Polish author Olga Tokarczuk was awarded the Nobel Prize in literature. There's also Andrzej Sapkowski, whose best-selling series of books about The Witcher received a game adaptation and a series on Netflix. Yeah, so there's some of the Polish cuisine. We have, of course, pierogi. Pierogi, we also have oscypek, which is a smoked cheese made of salted sheep milk, exclusively in the Tatra Mountains region of Poland. We also have bigos, which is pretty much a hunter's stew. And we also have żurek, which is a soup made of sour rye flour and meat, usually boiled pork sausage. So yeah. We also, in terms of fashion and design, you probably heard of a company, Max Factor. It was established by a Polish by a Polish man. His name was Maksymilian Faktorowicz. He was a Pole who immigrated to the United States. And also Reserved is a Polish brand. In the history of Polish cinema is as long as the history of cinematography itself.
All right, Jakub, we have to stop here. I'm sorry. Oh, we've got so many things to celebrate about Poland. I love that you have all these different areas of influence and impact that Polish people have made on the world, not only just in your country, but like you said, the Nobel Peace Prize for so many of these winners. And yeah, I'm sorry to cut it short. How many more slides do you have?
Those 2.
Okay. Perfect.
So yeah, if you have any questions, just ask them.
I had one about castles.
Gortat is retired?
Huh?
Sorry, I just read that you said that Gortat is.
Yeah, he's retired.
Wow.
Yeah, he retired like 2 years ago, something like that.
Wow. Huh.
All right, so do we have any questions for Jakub about Poland?
no, you can't stay there overnight, but in my hometown, there's, in fact, I think it's probably in whole Poland. There's that one night in the whole year where you can, when all the museums and historical places are open for the whole night, and you can stay there and visit places that are normally closed for the public. So
So I need to go visit the museums, is what you're telling me.
yeah.
Cool.
Any good local places for Polish cuisine? I don't really know. I've been here for only 3 months, so I didn't have any opportunity to visit some places. But there are definitely some, because in Chicago there's like the biggest Polish population outside of Poland. So yeah, just find anything that sounds at least a bit Polish, and you'll be good.
Just go to Aleph, mission Aleph to like the story in Mandalay.
Speaking of Aleph, I'm gonna go there now. If you guys want to come with me, I'll pick you up if you're interested. I'm not
I
joking.
don't have a car.
I'll pick you up.
See, we've got our whole
We
team here. So
can.
we've got Belarus, Russia, and Poland all represented. And I
That could be
do
a-
think, what, Nick, are you taking us there to this supermarket?
Yeah, I'm gonna go now. I'm offering them to pick them up and come with me.
Okay, see, there you go. Driving
They
in your
want right now?
BMW.
You wanna go, Jakub?
I'm busy, to be honest.
Well, let's give everyone a final round of applause. You guys did a great job today. So great
Great
to hear
job.
about your countries. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who has joined us today. This is part of Global Citizenship Week, and we have one more group presentation on Southeast Asia and East Asia on Friday. So please join us if you'd like to hear more from our students. And if you'd like to do crafting tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m., Colleen, Violetta, and I will be there crafting. So please bring your craft supplies if you like to hang out with us, okay? Thank you all for joining. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.